Yes, I'm sure Weigel's comment there is very accurate, and I think too gratefully that it is happening, that particularly young people are rediscovering that there's more to themselves than just pleasure, and that they're looking for something that is sincere and honest and lasting. And that's the kind of love that John Paul is talking about. Not a love that is momentary and passing, but a love that lasts forever. And so his whole theology of the body, I think, is based on that concept that true love is always a gift of self. And that if it's not a gift of self, well then it's not true love. So genuine love is self-giving, and its opposite is self-seeking. So I'm sure Weigel will be proved to be correct there, and that we will see a real swing back to true human love, as people reject the false notion of love that they were introduced to through maybe Hollywood or through kind of false reading. Certainly that whole tendency has been to objectify the body and so treat it as something that you have. So instead of speaking about I have a body, John Paul's theology would say you don't have a body, you are the body. And so all the dignity that you expect to be shown to your person, well, has to be shown to your body, because the body is personal and it's not an object. Again, you hear that word being used now in other contexts, that people warning young girls not to allow anybody to objectify their bodies and to treat their bodies as a thing of pleasure. So again, George Weigel's insight there, I think, is very accurate. For me, I think the point that I make most of is his description of the spousal capacity of the body. That is, he defines it as the power to express love, that love in which the human person becomes a gift, and through that gift fulfills the very meaning of his being and existence. I use that particular definition many times when I'm speaking about the theology of the body, because it's very dense, but when you unpack it, it's very clear, so that each human being has the capacity to express love. And then what are you doing when you're expressing love? You're making a gift of self. And then what happens when you make the gift of self? You fulfill the very meaning of your being and existence. And so it is a revolutionary insight into what true love is and how to become happy. That John Paul, of course, I believe, built on Vatican II's teaching that we can only discover our true selves in sincere self-giving. So self-giving then becomes the touchstone for a life of happiness. Yes, well, the theology of the body is for anybody who has a body, or who is a body. And so you're quite right that that would be a distraction to see it simply as something for the married state. Now, it's very helpful and very enriching of marriage to see, to understand oneself, and definitely for the priesthood too, and for religious life, is very enriching. But for many people in the world are single men and women, and so for them to be able to see themselves within this context is very enriching for single life too. So theology of the body is for everyone. Yes, I would love to have a simple way, but there are great teachers of young people teaching now the theology of the body, breaking it down into, well, first of all, showing that the body is not an object that you play with. You play with a toy, but you don't play with the body. And I think starting from there, you can teach very young people to have a different respect for yourself than you have for anything else. Well, certainly Benedict carried on a great teaching on love. So his first encyclical was on love, and that was at the heart of John Paul's Theology of the Body. He didn't refer explicitly too often to John Paul's teaching on the theology of the body, but then of course John Paul's teaching on the theology of the body was never on the same level as an encyclical or an apostolic letter or exhortation. It was, I don't know how you would classify it in terms of papal teaching, but definitely it has resonated throughout the church. It's true that maybe many bishops and clergy never read it. Now it's a difficult book to read. It's a big book to read, and many of them may not have read it. But I think Benedict was sympathetic. He would have expressed it maybe in a different theological language than John Paul did. But no, I think he was his encyclical on love, and then his encyclical on redemption or on hope, because in his encyclical on hope he talks about that we're not redeemed by science, we're redeemed by love. And he says that when a man or a woman have the experience of a great love, it changes their life. It's a moment of redemption. So it's on the same point, really, I think, as John Paul was. Well, those who have heard about it and have made any effort to understand it are definitely very excited about it. But still there are many people who have never heard of it, sadly, and lots of priests have a negative attitude towards John Paul, you know, and so they won't go there. Well, I started doing courses on the theology of the body in our centre in Scotland, and it's part of my teaching on self-esteem and inner healing and forgiveness and seeking fulfillment in later life. So I suppose mainly that was my clientele. Young people, very few young people would have heard the message from me because they didn't come to our centre. But the vast majority of people that I have spoken to about the theology of the body would be, be priests and religious, lay people who probably are in retirement. So that was my audience that I was trying to speak to. I've spoken to, of course, on a number of occasions to younger groups, but I wouldn't have tested it on younger groups in the same way as I've done so on the older generation. But I do encourage and send it to people whom I know who are teaching young people. So teachers, number of teachers have come to my courses with the view specifically of introducing theology of the body. And just last February, I was speaking to all the religious teachers in the diocese in England, because Now in that diocese they have introduced the theology of the body on their curriculum in school. So all the head teachers came and I gave a course to them on the theology of the body.